Knowing what to do with your physique is pretty hard. And you probably know the goal that you want to get to, but you don't know exactly the steps on what it is you need to do to get there. And this, unfortunately, can leave a lot of pain within your life. Let's say if you need to get in a certain shape, in a certain time frame, either for a shirtless holiday, a wedding, or a job interview, leaving things up to chance and just guessing could leave you very, very frustrated, and unfortunately, hard efforts wasted. And it really shouldn't be this way. Like, we should understand what we should do with our physiques and how we can look at our body and think, what is our current body composition? What are the steps I need to do? What's the nutrition I need to plan? How long is this going to take? What's the outcome I can get? And we need to make these decisions based off data and actual calculations instead of just feel and think and, you know, how things need to be. And it really is a shame that this sort of stuff is not taught to us in schools. Like, why are we not taught in schools? This is what your body composition is. This is how to work it out. This is how to improve it. Surely the world would be a lot better place if we were all healthier, athletic human beings. Because let me tell you from experience, when you're in fucking great shape, the world is beautiful and everyone reciprocates that back towards you. People treat you better. Why? Because your body is your flesh business card. So if you're walking around with a fucking nice business card for people to see, they just reciprocate. They're more likely to say hello to you. You're more attractive. It's like the analogy. Unfortunately, if you put like a homeless guy on the street, led out on his back, versus a guy in a suit led out on his back, you know which one, like, more people are going to try and help. And that's unfortunately just the way it is. I don't create the rules. I can just observe and tell you what I see. So this video, we're going to squash that. We're going to teach you how to assess your current physique, how long then it's going to take for you to get to the goal, what calories and nutrition do you need to eat. There'll be a few little extra bits you can have, so you can have the calorie calculator that's in this video. You'll just need to drop a comment below, so I know you obviously want it, if you do want it. And in that, it'll have a food menu as well that you can then piece together from. So you've actually got tangible data to work out where your physique is and then where it needs to get to. So let's roll straight in. Okay, so here is the calculator that we have made, and we're going to use this to assess your current body composition and then where we need to get to. Now, you will need to weigh yourself in on a scale in order to understand your starting body weight. Let's say I've done this at this point here and I'm 87 kilograms. We now need to establish your body fat percentage, and this is kind of the main title of the video and what it is we're trying to achieve. Now, when you assess your body fat, there are a few different ways. You've probably heard them all online, and I'm just going to cut to the chase. They are only as accurate as the person taking the reading. Body fat is just an estimate at best, and it will always be an estimate. So going and getting a DEXA scan is not practical. Going and getting someone to do calibers, you need to make sure that the person knows how to do it, and they need to take them week on week for it to be a consistent reading. So the best means that you could do at home will be through photos. You need to take a picture of yourself in clear lighting from the front, ideally, and back and sides, and then you're going to assess your current body composition relative to these pre-recorded ones that I've got here. Now, when you're assessing the physique, the main area I would really look towards is going to be the midsection. What you're looking for: can we see strands of abs? Can we see strands of intercostal or rib? And how is it looking around the chest area? So we can see, as we assess this guy, we can't see a ridge, which this guy has here. We can see a little bit of this. He is definitely tighter from this perspective. Look at the fatness we've got in here. Look how deep that belly button's going. It's a good job that this guy has absolute breeze blocks for abs. Otherwise, you would not be able to see his abs at all. So this guy here, we can for sure say he's not as lean as 15%. Probably not as fat as 20. Like, there's no dimple here. You can actually still see a bit of ab structure. And I would go somewhere in between. I'd probably go on the conservative side and say he's around 18% body fat. So at this point, we've got your scale weight and we've got your body fat percentage. You're going to plug those digits in here, and it's going to spit out your lean muscle mass. So 71.3 kilograms of lean mass. It's also going to give you your RMR. This is known as a resting metabolic rate. This is how many calories you would need just for normal daily function. You may have heard it called BMR as well. So whenever you're dieting down, so in fact, let's go back a step. Remember, we're assessing a physique to see what does this guy need. Because this guy would look at himself and think, I want to be more muscular, I want to look in better shape. He's already carrying a fair amount of tissue. There can always be room for improvement, fucking right there can. But this guy, realistically, he needs to diet down. And here's a rule of thumb, boys. Unless you're sat around here, you need to diet down. Because you will just not look that good unless you're 10% body fat. That's just the reality of life. Like, this guy looks okay, this guy looks better, this guy looks fucking even better. You don't need to go to 5%, of course you don't. But if you can get around 8 to 10, you will look very, very good. And the reason why you want to get to that point, even if you're not that big, is because when you do get to 8 to 10% body fat, and then you transition into a maintenance and then into a building phase, it's almost like you've built your house on the most solid of foundations. If you're 8 to 10% body fat, you've got all the way up to 20 or 18 in this case, after the bulk I did, to actually build tissue, meaning you're going to accumulate some fat because you're in a slight surplus, and that's okay, but you are going to accumulate a lot of tissue. If you only give yourself a window from 15%, you'll look at 5% until you're hitting 20%. Now, as you get leaner, your body will utilize glycogen and insulin more effectively. So the way you use carbs will be a lot better than someone that is fatter. They're just probably used to storing them as fat a little bit more. But the main thing is the window. That is the main thing. And it's gonna if you are smaller, you're gonna want to need that big long window of about 8 months to fucking send it on a bulk, put on as much tissue as possible with proper form. Proper gym floor execution. Like, you cannot get around the gym floor, boys. You have to train fucking hard on that gym floor to make change on your physique. But going back a step, so we understand that this guy needs to get down to 8 to 10% body fat. So we're going to put him in some form of a cut. Now, going back to assessing him, you'll know how active you are within a given day. So this, of course, is going to play a factor in what your maintenance calories is. Because to establish maintenance calories, we need to get your RMR. We need to work out how active you are, times the two together, and that will give you a maintenance figure. Now, if you really do just sit at a desk all day and do fuck all else, you're probably on a 1.2. If you're lightly active, you tickle a bit of gym and predominantly desk bound, 1.35. Moderately active, you're looking at the average person, especially our age range, around 155. When I used to be in the army, I would say I was on a 175, or if you're a builder or a personal trainer and you're on your feet all day, burning calories, you're on a 175, and you're looking at like your elite level athletes are on a 195. So as I said, we're going to get these two figures, times them together, and this will give us a maintenance target of just shy of 3,000 calories. And then we need to understand, okay, well, what do we need to do with this physique? Now, as I said, we want to drop some body fat. So what we can do here is work out what sort of a drop to put him in. Now, here's one thing I'll say to you. When you're going to put yourself into a calorie deficit, you do want to lose 1% of the scale weight per week. So for this guy, you're looking best part of a kilogram, really, 900 grams or so. So if I was to put him, though, a 1% drop of the scale weight per week, he's going to have to go down to 2,000 calories. Now, that is fucking very, very low, boys. So I really wouldn't recommend that. Now, on this document here, you've got the option to program minus 0.25 of a percent, 0.5%, 0.7, and 1%. I would always start quite conservative. I wouldn't put yourself in a drastic calorie deficit because it's like a haircut. You can always just take a bit more off. And if you go, whoop, you can't put it back on. It's the same if I went all the way low hands and ran that for 2 weeks. I've got nowhere to go with it. I can, of course, I can increase output, but I cannot take his food any lower. And there will be a point where the body will be like, no, you're not going to see any change at this sort of output. It's not just a case of banging him on that and he falls all the way down to the bottom, because the body is a weird and wonderful thing. So I would actually start on 0.5%, and again, you just type this in and it will spit out the calories. Or if you wanted to be even more conservative, you can even go a 0.3. Now, a 0.3 is very, very useful when you are actually, if you're like 15% body fat, 16% body fat, a bit leaner than I was in this photo here, but you've also not carrying that much muscle and you need to recomp, I'll do a video on this when my client finishes his transformation, just to show how you would set this up. But essentially, if you're around that, you want to keep your food as high as possible, and you only need to come just slightly below maintenance in order to drive performance in the gym, and then slowly pull off the body fat. And then as you get towards the back end of that recomp phase, then you turn the screw down and you dial it back in, and you finish the job. So in that case, this guy would just be on a little bit less food than he is here. So let's say for this guy, I would put him on a 0.5 to start with, and I'd assess how his physique is looking. So this is now going to give us a new calorie target, just shy of 2,500 calories, with the macro split breaking down as follows: 171 protein, and this is relative to this figure here, lean mass. So you're going to take your lean mass and times it by 2.4, and that is how you're going to get to this figure here. Roughly works out 1 gram per pound of body weight, as they like to say. Fats are going to be set to 25% of this target here for just a normal healthy range, but as you get to the depth of the diet phase, you can take fats a little bit lower if you need to, and add in carbs. Just shy of 300, and this is going to be a fair amount, still to drive performance in the gym, and this will make up of is mainly starchy and high GI carbs as well, and then also your fruit and veg fibrous carbs. Now, the next question will be, okay, so we are at this starting point. We wanted to get to the 8 to 10% body fat range, so how long is this going to take? Now, a very quick way you could work that out is take this figure here and just add 8 to 10% to it. You will have then a scale weight, and you will have this one, and you're just going to work out how long would it take if you dropped 1% of the scale weight per week. That is how many weeks it will take you to get to that point. Now, of course, it will vary, because in the beginning, you may see 1.5 kilos drop off in the first week because you've lost water weight, muscle glycogen, and just the fluid has entered the body. And then maybe towards the back end of the diet, where you actually ran a week, but there wasn't that much progress, then you needed to turn another screw to get there. That is when you may slow down a little bit. So this guy's looking at around 11 weeks, but I think it'd be fair to say it could be anywhere from 11 to 13. And you're going to assess the condition as you go on and relative to your levels of leanness. Now, how do you continue to drop the weight would be, you have your food target. If you have your food, you check your weight for a week and continue to take photos. If the scale weight is trending down, you're in a good space. If the scale weight tends to hold for about a week, you need to change your variable. You've got two options. You either implement more output, you can use daily cardio, or you can drop food a little bit. And I would always say keep food as high as you possibly can, because it's going to drive performance in the gym. Time your carbs around your workout, continue to keep the numbers high, numbers stay high. You don't lose tissue, or if anything, you could probably build some tissue, and you probably will for the first 6 weeks or so of the 12-week plan. And then, yeah, so you've slowly pulled the body fat off, and you just keep turning screws until you get to that point. And to be honest, that is really all you need to know for this. When you're piecing together your diet, you've got some hand portions here, boom, 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 and options for proteins, carbs, fats, and fiber, and then weighed out relative to 20 grams, 30 and 40 grams there. So boys, hopefully this was useful. Hopefully this will clear it up. Photos. Align the photos with the pre-recorded. That's going to give you a body fat percentage. That's where you are. Where do you want to be? We want to drop 1% of the scale weight per week. That's the difference between them. This is how long it's going to take. So don't leave things up to chance anymore, boys. Don't leave things to guesswork. Like, life is fucking short and life is beautiful when you're in good shape. So let's decrease the gap between how long that's going to take, where you are now, and where you want to be. If you found this useful, hit the subscribe. And if not, then fair enough. And I'll see you tomorrow anyway, because I'm here all week.